Glass Onion is finally here. We've had so much hype about it, so many trailers, so many sneaky little looks at it. We have a full-on movie for you. This is going to be a spoiler-free review of Glass Onion. Alonso's going to do his best to describe it to you. It's out on Netflix, it's in theaters for a week.
Yes.
It's in theaters for a week around Thanksgiving, and then it's going to be out on Netflix in December. We will eventually do a full-on live spoiler talk like we did for Wakanda Forever. But for now, Alonso, what can you tell us about this sequel?
Once you're dead, will we still be able to talk to you?
Yeah, I'm not playing dead the whole weekend, dude.
This is truly delightful.
I will say, if you can see this in a theater with an audience, it's worth it. So Benoit Blanc is back. It's May of 2020. There's a lockdown, but a group of people, including a politician played by Kathryn Hahn, a sort of lifestyle guru played by Kate Hudson, a men's rights influencer, YouTuber played by Dave Bautista, a scientist played by Leslie Odom Jr., and a businesswoman played by Janelle Monae receive mysterious invitation boxes from someone they know. And Benoit Blanc also receives an invitation from someone he doesn't know to travel to Greece, to the private island of gajillionaire Edward Norton, who has planned a fun murder mystery game for his pals. And of course, nothing ever quite goes that smoothly when Benoit Blanc is around, and suddenly things start getting dangerous and mysterious, and what we think we know, we don't know, and who done it?
The thing with the first Knives Out is it was such a huge hit, like a giant hit. Like it was enormously entertaining and made hundreds of millions of dollars. And unlike Black Panther, I feel like anything that would follow it up would be a bit of a letdown, right? I know you like this better than the first one.
I do. And I think, the thing is, the first one, part of why it was so successful is that it was, not IP. It was an original concept and characters, but you're given this detective, much like Poirot, Miss Marple, like these sort of great, Sherlock Holmes even, that you can then plug into other situations. And so I think a sequel doesn't have the same burden of let's do that again, whereas let's do it again in another location with a whole new crew of suspects,
Well, for me, I think I'm looking at it totally inversely. Like, because the first one was so original and so exciting that anything else is going to feel subpar by comparison. Like, again, it's so fun. It's really, really fun. And what Rian Johnson has done here to try to top it is to expand it. Like, the thing with the first Knives Out was that the vast majority of it took place in this house, this stately mansion, and the sense of claustrophobia kind of added to the tension of it. And is this old money family, and it's entrenched with secrets. And here we have, it's expanded in every way, in terms of the storytelling, in terms of the settings, in terms of the way it spans time. It's bigger in every way, and that's fun sometimes. But I feel like it depletes it of the tension, like the percolating pot boiler tension that made the first one a lot of fun. Like, it just feels, I'm not going to say anything about anything, but it doubles back on itself and reveals more about these people and their relationships than we saw when we first got introduced to them. And there almost feels like there's a repetitive nature to it, like a sagginess to it. It didn't have quite the zip of the first one. Having said that, a lot of the dialogue is hilarious. Yeah. Once again, he is skewering the rich. We have this whole troika of films right now between Triangle of Sadness and The Menu and this about, how awful extremely wealthy people are, whether you were already that way or the money made you that way, just sort of skewering the carelessness and the selfishness and the vapidness of all these people. But there's also a superficiality to them that didn't exist with the characters in the first film, especially like Kathryn Hahn's character and Leslie Odom's Jr. character. There's nothing to these people at all. And they're actors who are interesting and do substantial meaty work. And I feel like the characters that they're given don't allow them to show all that.
I don't know. I didn't love Knives Out as much as a lot of people did when it came out. I thought it was fine. And then I watched it again a few years later because we did a Last of Sheila episode with it on A Film and a Movie. And I was like, okay, I get it. I see what it's doing here. And And I think everything that you're accusing this movie of doing, that one does as well. There are characters in that film that who's really all we get to know about them is why they wanted to kill the person who dies and what their agenda might have been. And I think even the repetition, it's much like the moment in Knives Out where we kind of circle back to a thing where we thought we knew what happened, but actually we didn't, and we find out what really did and how that affects And I think that's that's the kind of puzzle building that Johnson likes to do here, and so this is why he cites films like The Last of Sheila and Sleuth and Evil Under the Sun specifically, now that we're in the Greek islands, as being films that influence him and inspire him. So I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but I also think that's baked into this franchise as we know it 2 films in, that this is how he tells a story and what he does. And so again, I think that this isn't a sequel in the way that we think of like, in the way that Wakanda Forever is, where it has to be like, bringing in the same characters and going through different, similar arcs or whatever. This is more like the continuing adventures of Benoit Blanc. And he's going to be on the North Pole. He's going to be on the moon, whatever. And it's just going to be the thing that happens around him. So I feel like he's doing it as well, if not better than he does it in Knives Out.
Interesting. So I will say this, though. It is really, really fun a lot of the time. And read nothing if you can avoid it, because there are so many great little cameos, so many great little details that are just laugh out loud funny. I like Craig in this role even more this time around, actually, because he's kind of playing slight shadings of Benoit Blanc, depending on what the situation calls for. And so you think you know who this person is, and there's more revealed that I won't say, but he's very canny as far as the version of himself he's presenting to the world in various situations. And so to see, Daniel Craig's technical precision with just the slight differences here and there is a lot of fun. The clothes are, of course, spectacular. Kate Hudson's a total hoot, and she gets to not only be like the dizzy blonde in the mold of her mom, but also, bring the depth and the, I don't know. I don't want to say vulnerability, but there's something darker and sadder, like
the corruption.
But something like dark and sadly. There's a scene by the pool where she is talking to her assistant. It reminded me of some of the vulnerability she showed in Almost Famous. And so there are surprises to the people here too. It's fun to see Dave Bautista play somebody who was just totally unlikable.
Yeah.
Right. Because as Drax and in other movies, he's a lovable kind of sweet force. Yeah. And here he's
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, and Steve Gedlin shot it, who was Rian Johnson's usual DP, shoots all of his films. So, like, the scenery is fantastic, both within this big, gaudy mansion and also on the grounds of the estate.
Yeah, the production design is gorgeous. It's, it's like, I think, Johnson's figured out this is a genre that people like and that no one's really been tackling for a while. And so he's and I think I think he's doing it better than Branagh is right now, as far as these kinds of all-star, exotic location murder mysteries, if nothing else, because these movies feel tangible. Like the house, you never feel like people are standing in front of a green screen, which you're constantly getting in, like, the Branagh Poirot movies and stuff. So yeah, of the two, I think if these are the guys who are reviving this, I think that Johnson is breathing new life into it, and Branagh more often than not is kind of reanimating a corpse, so given the choice, I would say this is the way to go. Yeah, I thought this was a lot of fun, and just based on the audience that we saw it with, I think that, again, if you can catch it in the theater during its 1 week run before it goes to Netflix, there is something about the crackle of this and the shock and the surprise of the reveals along the way that's fun to share with other people.
Right. We were also in a very friendly audience.
Also true. Yes.
And it earns all that. It earns all like that kind of response, because it is an exuberant experience for sure. We have not yet sung the praises of Janelle Monae. She gets to show a ton of range.
Yes,
here.
She's doing a lot.
Say that. She really is. And just so charismatic and so subtle. She's just got that thing. She's just, you can't stop watching her. And then Madelyn Cline, I thought was very good also in what could have been kind of a thankless kind of bimbo role.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
There's more to her here. Yeah, I mean, people, they get moments. I just like, because Jackie everyone Hoffman is so good. What's that, honey?
Jackie Hoffman.
Jackie Hoffman is so great. I'm not even going to tell you who she is in this, but she's Every line she says is just perfection. She's great in it. Yeah, it's a great supporting cast. It's hilarious cameos in just the smallest of roles.
Yeah.
You get the feeling that probably everybody had a really good time making this movie. So it's fun. It's just, it didn't quite meet the heights of Knives Out for me. So I'm saying a 7.
All right, I went 8, but again, I think maybe like if you thought that What Knives Out was fine, but it didn't rock your world, then I think you might like this one better. But also vice versa.